when Gul Panag Super Milo.
It's a beautiful long
Reverse.
wheelbase. It's got the intercooler sound as well. Turbocharged. It's a turbo engine.
Yes.
Little whistle that comes. Wait, don't put them on.
No, I'm not.
Welcome back to another episode of History on Wheels. For this episode, we have traveled to Delhi, the capital city of India, to capture one of the most loved cars in India. This car only recently received a major overhaul and is also now being called as the Mahindra Scorpio N.
Finally,
Hello.
after weeks of coordination, because of me, it's because she's always on point in replying to messages and even checking if I've gotten to my flight today morning. But we're going to start. This is your car that you're driving currently?
Yes, this is my
But that's
Right.
been your baby, the old one. But let's drive on. Let's start with this car and then we'll come back to your... Is that your daily driver otherwise?
It's not my daily ride. My daily ride is my Thar.
But this is currently the car
This
in
is currently
conversation.
my ride. I genuinely like cars and I genuinely like four-wheel drives. I genuinely like the sense of adventure that you have with a four-wheel drive. This actually goes back to my first late trip in 2002, which we thought we'd do on the Scorpio. Now, by now, the Scorpio had made noise in the market for a very long time and we were waiting for it to be launched. And come May 2002, we're waiting because the trip is planned for June and there is no car. So we're like, oh ho, the Scorpio hasn't come, so let's just go on the bike. So we did this late trip on a bike. And then I'd been looking out for the Scorpio for a while. And finally, when it came to market, I wanted, by the time I made up my mind, because by then I'd already bought another car. And by the time I made up my mind that okay, fine, it's the Scorpio, new emission norms came in. And I didn't want to buy a car and not register it in my address. So they were still making the 2.6 litre older variant and exporting it in 4x4 to Africa. And the CRD that they launched, which was the Euro 2, Bharat 2 engine, did not have a 4x4. So I wrote to M&M and I said that, can you please figure a way out for me to get the CRD variant, because that's what I can now legally register. And it was January 2006, and by then I'd been in touch with the team for about 3-4 months, asking them if we can make this happen, etc., etc. So to cut the long story short, the first CRD 4x4 in the country was actually made for me. Then I got that particular Scorpio in 2006. We did another road trip to Leh, this time an organized one, and people said, "Humko bhi leke jao, take us also, take us also." So we went with a bunch of 4-5 cars and went to our old haunt Leh. Then there was one really scary trip that happened on the base of Sach Pass, which is near Dalhousie, and we got stranded in a car and had to spend the night on the roadside.
Which car was this?
I'm not going to name the car. I will once we cut. And I came back. It was because of my auto association.
Okay, but what was it? Was it engine breakdown? Was it something?
No, the car got beached. Because there wasn't enough clearance, we were crossing a water body.
Okay, what's beached?
So beached is when the bottom part of the of the vehicle touches a rock and
all four wheels.
Not necessarily all four wheels, but definitely one wheel is off the ground, and you need all four wheels for full traction. We managed to pull the car out finally. No, we didn't actually. I forget. We walked out of the water body, and we spent the night on the road because the other car we managed to get out.
Okay.
And then we said, what should there be in the most amazing expedition vehicle that this will never happen to? So I was like, firstly, if we were on the roadside, I would like to have been on a tent, not just hanging out on the roadside. And the tent should be on top of your roof. So you don't have to worry and look for flat places and dry places, because in the hills, in the summer, it's always raining. So we began putting an adventure list together.
Okay, by then wasn't the Getaway launched? Scorpio
So
Getaway?
that is how the Getaway happened. They said, why don't you take the Getaway since you've already driven the Scorpio? I was like, really? Yeah, that'll be much more comfortable than a Bolero camper, which has, it's meant for a different commercial use. That's how we got the Scorpio Getaway. And then we kitted it out and customized it and put all kinds of things on it. So we started and we took the Super Milo. By the way, the vehicle is called Super Milo because on that trip where we got beached, we had just lost our dog, who was called Milo, like the day before we left for the trip, who was supposed to be on that trip, and he has been on so many trips. So we said, yes, let's bring Milo back to life. So that was this vehicle got Christian Super Milo. So we were taking Super Milo along as a backup with our extra cycles because we were not doing a unprepared trip. We had spares, we had 3 extra cycles between 5 riders, and we were like carrying lots of gear and supplies and a mechanic. And then we, in fact, I saw the whole thing's on my Instagram from about 3-4 weeks ago, how we found a Ford Figo buried in the sand.
What?
Next to Somari.
Oh.
And many people
It got washed
tried.
out.
No, they had a flat and they had an accident, then they got a little shaken up and they didn't want to drive on the road where there was a flat. So they decided to drive off the road on the sandy part. And when they were driving off the road on the sandy part, it was only a matter of time before they got fully stuck. And 2-3 vehicles had already tried to pull them out, BRO vehicles. But the tow rope would break because they were so deeply sort of stuck in that only a winch could pull them out. So yes, Sameer.
So that's a Super Milo.
Yeah, so we got lucky, and I mean Super Milo also rescued some drunk driver from a ditch in near Shillong. Super Milo has been on rescues.
These sound like some very serious experiences that you've had. I saw the first Scorpio which my uncle drove in, and it was a black Scorpio then. There was nothing else on the road that was even close to it. Prior to that, if there was one car which was my favorite, was the Mahindra Armada.
Oh yeah.
It was a legend of a car, and I love that car, and it's close to me is because that's the vehicle one of my late uncles used to own.
Okay.
And he used to ferry children from their houses to the school.
Right.
And we used to pack those cars.
Yeah.
But the reason why I fell in love with that car is because he had put in radial tires on those cars, which were not company fitted.
And that just suddenly changed the look of the Armada.
Absolutely.
The Armada and the Bolero have been 2 iconic vehicles.
And then suddenly, and later on, they were somewhat ramping down the sales of Armada because they were introducing the Scorpio. And when they got the Scorpio out, it was like, there's nothing else. There's nothing else out on the road that
with
could
those
compete
looks.
to the looks.
Yeah, absolutely.
But any which ways, when it started off, that's for me the love of Scorpio. When Gul Panag Super Milo.
Okay then.
We have Nihal there in the back seat. Just way out, Nihal.
It's a bit of a long wheelbase. It's got the intercooler sound as well. Turbocharged. It's a turbo engine.
Yes.
Can you see?
You have to feel a turbo. You can't see a turbo. A little whistle that comes. You don't put them on.
No, I'm not. I'm just.
So it has a 70-liter main tank and a 40-liter auxiliary tank. So effectively, I then get about 100 kilometers of range.
And there's also a jerry
and
can at the
jerry
back.
can, yeah. I mean, that's just in case. So a lot of the trips we've done have been when fuel wasn't easy to come by. There's that
German car that you hate.
It could have been prettier. Yeah.
And that's one German car that me fall in love
Yeah.
with that particular segment of cars.
Well, so that's it. And then it's got a stainless steel water tank with a pump action from here. That was how it was conceived, right? It was conceived from the point of view of being a place where we could, where we would be able to go camping and be able to camp anywhere with ease. And the second thing was, it has a raised suspension. It's got Ironman torsion bars and bigger wheels, as a result of which it has greater clearance. So chances of us getting beached are minimal. Having said that, there is also a lot of compromise on payload because our entire customization kit has brought us almost within 100 kgs of total payload that this vehicle can carry. So it's not like the luggage bay is empty, but with all the metal, it's got metal bumpers. With all the metal kit on it, I'm already at my weight restriction, so the vehicle performance is at its peak.
Optimum.
I mean, it's at its ceiling. It can't go beyond that. And then our car will be empty because the luggage bay is empty. We just have like a couple bags. And it'll be like, "Arey, your car has weight, so put the firewood in your car, put this in your car." So eventually our car always gets overloaded.
That's why I can see that the flatbed at the back.
Yeah, has had a lot of wear and tear. But again, now Super Milo is 9 years old, and I'm going to look for, I can't say a replacement because that's never going to happen, but look for another project.
Overall experience with the car, if you have to just put it in the most poetic way, like you call him Super Milo.
Right.
And that's for a reason. And that's the reason, not just being a dog, but because you wanted it to have a forever memory in your life.
Yes.
That's what you've done.
Trusted and reliable.
Yeah?
Yeah, totally. I mean, knowing that it never fails, knowing that it's always been there, rescuing sometimes me, sometimes others. I mean, every time when we're on the road, we pulled somebody out from something.
The Mahindra Scorpio has been in production for over 20 years now, and in this time, the car has bashed deserts, crossed rivers, and scaled up high mountains. And for the people who have lived the Scorpio life, nothing else will do.